Have you ever asked yourself, what is the most profitable business to start from home? Listen to this story about my wife, Kimberly, and myself, Kevin Sousa, in the home business profession.
Well, what I had to say is going to be a good segue into his story. So, first thing I want to start out with is sharing two important lessons that I learned from Kevin when I was a brand newbie and didn't know anything about online marketing. And I started plugging into his webinars. He would hold webinars for his team. Of course, this was way before HBA existed. We really needed that back then. We didn't have HBA yet. So I would plug into his webinars because I had a real desire to succeed. And I would see him get on the phone and talk to prospects. And I was observing, and I noticed something. He was really, really darn good on the phone. And of course, good on webinars. But I was just amazed at his skill of talking with people. And so I had to ask him, we were on the phone one day, and I said, how do you always know what to say? You always know the right thing to say. You know, new people, they want a script. Give me the script, give me the secret. What do I need to say? I'll write it down, copy, paste, or whatever. But I'm like, what do you say? How do you know? You always say the right thing. His answer was, get the book, The Magic of Thinking Big. I'm like, okay, and I'd never read it. So I did get the book, and I do remember, it's been a while since I read the whole book, but I do remember the very beginning of the book, it started out with a story about a company that was like a marketing company, and they had all these salespeople. And there was one guy that was outperforming everyone. And the owner was trying to figure out why. Why is he doing so well? He was just blowing everyone out of the water with his sales. And so he looked into him and everything about him and discovered that he was completely normal. He was average in every single way. He wasn't better than anyone else. So his conclusion after studying that was that the only difference between him and everyone else that wasn't performing as well was he thought bigger. So it was his mindset. So hence, The Magic of Thinking Big was the name of the book. So that was the introduction at the beginning of that book that stood out to me. So I find it ironic that the very first thing that he did was point me to self-development and mindset, which is what we have here. We didn't have it back then, so we've got it made with that now. We've got what we really need as a foundation for learning marketing. So that was one of the important first lessons that I really learned from him. And then another lesson that I learned from him that really stands out. We were doing another business prior to HBA, and they came out with an initiative to help nonprofits. And he got on the webinar and asked for volunteers to do it with him. And I was like, me, I want to do it. And I had a heart for nonprofits because my daughter has autism. So I thought that would be really good. So what we were doing was contacting organizations, setting appointments, doing three-way calls, and the master was doing the presentation on the three-way call. So I started contacting nonprofits. And of course, a lot of them I started with was autism nonprofits. I searched their website, did the contact form, emailed them, but a lot of them I contacted through their Twitter account. I would send them DMs on Twitter. I don't use Twitter much anymore, but I did a lot back then. And when I would get responses, I would set up three-way calls. So I would make the appointment, and then I would go to his calendar, find his available time, put it on the calendar, set up the three-way call. Then I would take my lunch break at work, go in the stairwell to get some privacy, and do a three-way call on my lunch break, trying to build a business when I didn't really have time to build a business. And so I would get them on the phone, I would introduce him, and I learned through these calls how to build rapport, which is something else that he taught me. So I got really good at that, and we did really well and made a really good team So I would get it started. We would both talk with him and build really good rapport. He would do the presentation and close the sale. So I approached one nonprofit that was autism that was quite large. And a lot of them, these were smaller nonprofits that had responded, but this one was quite large. So, and it was really an important one in the autism community. So I was really excited about that one. And she was very receptive, but wanted to know more. And so out of that call, instead of closing them right away, we got with the vice president of, I think it was marketing, I'm not sure, but there was a vice president in the company to do a formal presentation for them, to give them more information. So we set that up on like a GoToWebinar, I think it was. And I had to start it off because I was the one that had found them and started the communication and everything. So I was told that I had to start it off. That made me nervous because it was out of my comfort zone. It shouldn't have been. I mean, I'd done public speaking in college and high school. I'd done it before, but it had been a long time. And it just really pushed my comfort zone. And I know when it was a really big deal, really big company, I was nervous. And so I talked to Kevin before, because he's like, you've got to start off the call and get it going before we take over and do the presentation. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. What do I say? Give me the magic words. Give me the script. Tell me what to say. What do I say? And he said, speak from your heart. That's it. I'm like, okay, I can do that. So it was about autism. My daughter has autism. So I dug in to that story and started with that and did it, and it went very well. We actually got the account. The company later shut down the program, so it didn't work out well in the end, but I learned a lot. But second big lesson, if you want to make a video and you're scared to get on camera, if you want to call a prospect and you're scared to get on the phone, or it's pushing that comfort zone, or if you have a new teammate that signed up and you know you really should call them and welcome them and get them started, but you don't really like getting on the phone, just speak from your heart. You don't have to know the script, just speak from your heart. It'll give you the words. So that was the second big lesson I learned from him. But backtrack before that, before I met Kevin, my freedom journey started in 2008, a little bit before we met Mike, not too long before. I was working full-time, I have an accounting degree, and had accumulated a lot of debt, and didn't have, it was a long story about how that happened with not having childcare for Ashley. She wasn't potty trained, 11 years old, and I had a lot of debt. And so my job was good, but I was starting to drown in the debt. Had bill collectors call me and all of that kind of stuff. And then at the same time, I had guilt. She needs therapy. I don't have money. I'm supposed to be giving her all this therapy to help her catch up. She's behind all her peers. She's way behind. How do I, she needs therapy. She needs this, she needs that. I don't have money. Their insurance said, I'm not paying for that. We don't pay for autism. We don't pay for ABA therapy. No, we don't do that. The public schools, they were not helpful with autism therapy either. Tried to get her free speech therapy through the public schools, and they would give her a very small amount, and then they cut the time because they said, well, we don't know if she's really going to talk, so we're going to cut the time that we're given for therapy. So that wasn't helpful. So I had guilt that I didn't have enough money to give her therapy, but I had these bills too that were choking me. Like, I need another job. I need a second income. But I'm sitting here looking at her. I work full time. I can't take another job and be away from her more because I can't pay for therapy. I need to work with her. I need to spend time with her. How am I going to do that? I can't take another job and never be with her. She needs me to teach her because no one else is going to do it. So what was the solution? Well, I heard you can make money on the internet. Someone said you can make money on the internet. I don't know how it works, but I'll figure it out. So I saw an ad in a magazine about like doing surveys and stuff, and doing the get paid to offers and surveys and that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, it's free. I can do that. I can make some money. So I started doing that. there's a lot of legit sites out there. So they were legit, they paid me, but it was really small money. Getting a check for $25 once a month is not gonna make a dent in bills when you're drowning in debt. And it's not gonna pay for therapy, it just wasn't enough. And I couldn't see any way to scale that, it took my time and it paid very small amounts. I'm like, what am I gonna do? And so then I got into this led me down a path into a forum. So in this forum, I started seeing things. And of course, there was keywords like in the YouTube, in the forum, the articles. So I started going down through that path, and it led me to some other small programs that paid very little, that were free. And then I heard about residual income. I'm like, oh, that's what I need. I could do the work once, and I get paid every month. That can add up. That can make a dent in the bills. That can make a difference. That'll work. I need that. So I found a program that was very inexpensive because I didn't have money to start, and it was like $10 a month. I'm like, okay, I can start with that. And I was a little bit leery of taking the leap because I didn't know how to promote it. I'm like, how can I be successful? I don't even know how to do it. And then I seen an ad, and it was the right message at the right time. I clicked on the ad and I'm going for it. I'm signing up. I signed up. And I was his lead in the business when I signed up on that ad. So I came into his business as a cold lead, cold marketing, not through social media. And he wasn't even in Facebook yet. It was before that. And so I didn't know who he was or anything. So I just signed up on this link, and I started looking at it and trying to figure it out and everything. The phone rings, and then I answer the phone, and this guy says, hi, this is Kevin Sousa. Welcome to the so-and-so company. And I'm like, who's this man calling me on the phone? I don't know. There wasn't that know, like, and trust. I had no clue who he was. And back then, I was not used to talking to people on the internet. I wasn't in social media yet or anything like that. So it was like, I didn't have the know, like, and trust. I had no clue who he was. So I was very standoffish. He's like, I want to help you. I want to help you get started, show you how to, get going. I'm like, I'll let you know if I need help, because I didn't know who he was. And so I kind of blew him off. And okay. Yeah. I just I'll let you know. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know if I need help. And what happened after that is I got his follow-up emails. And he's like, I'm having a webinar on this day and this day at this time. I'm going to teach you, train you, and, and I really, really want this. I really, really need it. I'm going to go to that webinar and learn. So I went to the webinar, and he got on there and was like, self-development, inspiration, wisdom. I'm like, oh my God. So after attending the webinars and getting exposed to that, I was really inspired. And of course, immediately started building the know, like, and trust, with him. And it went from there. So I really plugged in because I really, really wanted it. And, when he wanted to, do that initiative for the nonprofits, I was all over it because I really, really wanted it. And I will say one more thing before I turn it over to him. One of the reasons why people might use as an excuse not to join or start a business is they don't think they have time. That's an excuse. But if you don't make the time, it'll always be that way. And I've heard him say that before. If you don't do something different, you'll never have the time. You'll always be working 60 hours a week, if you don't do something to change that. But it's an easy cop-out, easy excuse to use. I don't have time. And I could have used that excuse. I didn't have time, really. But it's all important. How much is it important to you? How much do you want it? If you really want it, you'll do it. You'll find a way. And it's easier now than it ever was. Back then, I made the time on my breaks, on my lunches, in the evenings, on the weekends, on vacations, whenever I could squeeze in the time, I would do a 3-way call or whatever. Nowadays, my life is still really busy, and, Ashley still has issues, and life's hectic, and it still can be a challenge to fit in marketing. But it's really easy to make it fit in now because we have short form video. I'm doing TikToks, and we were talking about this on lunch with Deborah. I'm doing TikToks standing in line at Walmart parking lot. I mean, the Walmart in line. You stand in line all day long. And I'm making TikTok videos when I'm in line. You can do it anywhere. It only takes a few minutes. I get a generic stock video and save it on my Google Drive. So then I could go on my phone, bring up Google Drive, say open in TikTok. So it opens in TikTok. I go type in some words and set the duration of when I want them to pop up, pick the trending music, and I'm done. And in 5 minutes, I've got a video, and we've gotten leads and we've gotten sales from doing that. So it's easier than ever now to, lose that excuse, I don't have time. You can do it. You can fit in the time. So, of course, with the 30-minute, formula, it's even easier than that. We do solo ads also. And then, you buy the traffic, you send the email. So that's also, really a good way to get results in very little time. So if you really want it, you can fit it in. It's easier now than it ever was. But I want to pass the one now to that man on the internet that called me.
How can I follow that? Wow, good job. Well done. My goodness. I probably have about 15 minutes, so I'm going to squeeze it all in that. And guys tell me, Kev, you're done. All right? I don't mind. You're done. What is the most profitable business to start from home? The link is in the description. 1977. That's 45 years ago. A year after I graduated high school, I joined the Big A, home-based business, while I was in college. And then I had to drive to Rhode Island. I was in Massachusetts, in Boston, and drive to Rhode Island for meetings. I didn't have a car, but the guy that brought me in did, so he brought me to meetings. They taught us how to prospect people, how to talk to people. I get to talk to strangers? Yeah, you had a meeting and nobody joined your two meetings. I had 80 people at two meetings, 40 and 40. Nobody joined. School teachers, friends, family, you name it. Neighbors, kids I grew up with that weren't kids anymore. Yeah, we were still kids. Right after high school, you're still a kid. So I was scared, and it took me 10 years to overcome that fear. Because I was told to read a book that I told her to read first, The Magic of Thinking Big. So what's that got to do with making money? Of course, that was me being young and ignorant. So I did, and was like, a whole new world, right? It was amazing. But I used the excuses too. I had no time. I'm really afraid, but I'm a man. I don't tell people I'm afraid. I don't have time. Right? This sounds better than I'm scared. I get to talk to people like Archie Bunker would say, oh, geez, Edith, huh? You get to talk to people? I don't have time for that. No, you don't have the courage for that. Courage is what we learn when we read, and we listen to audios, and we watch videos, and we attend functions, we become involved. That's where we get our courage from. Because it's a resource that we can draw upon from all kinds of sources, whether it's listening, reading, associating with successful people. But the best lessons in courage is doing what you're afraid of doing. Those are the best lessons in courage. Because what happens? You mess up! and why is that exciting? Because now I can learn from that. And I wanted to learn from those lessons. I had to separate myself from all of my contacts in life at age 18 and a half and start associating with people I don't even know who they are. But I started listening to cassettes back then. It was cassettes, right? And I started listening. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I'd sit at my kitchen table. I was a restaurant manager at the time. I would light up a joint. I would smoke it and listen to these cassettes, dude. This stuff's awesome. You're going to watch TV? No, I want to listen to this. I had a little earplug, right? And I just got high and listened to my cassettes. I wasn't building a business. Oh, yeah, I have to build a business. That's right. I was too afraid. And I squashed that fear by taking pot. I would never have admitted that back then. Nowadays I can, because I quit more than 30 years ago with that, because I knew it was wrong, because it was holding me back. That's why it was wrong. I was holding myself back, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to press forward and move on. I wanted success. I wanted to be rich, but I did not want to know why I wanted to be rich. Until leaders and mentors that I met along the way. Fast forward 10 years. I was in that business 28 years until 2005. 10 years later, because I had experienced telemarketing, I got out of the restaurant business, started telemarketing, because I learned stuff from the books and the audios and the meetings that I attended with this company. I thought, wow, these are new skills I have. I want to put them to use. I'm going to get a job on the phone selling. I did that for almost 20 years. I know almost every area code in this country by heart. Not because, well, what's that do? Nothing. I just know what state it's in. No big deal. But when my mentor heard that I was taking a telemarketing job and I doubled my income from the restaurant business in telemarketing with a legitimate company, he said, hey, Tom Rutherford just sold 20 $75,000 cement trucks. He's got $1.5 million in liquid assets he wants to invest. We just came out with personal pay telephones. Tom's willing to invest in the phones if we set appointments and I go out and close them, he said. So I'd call the company up, bowling alleys, convenience stores, whatever. You got a pay phone? Yeah, I need to speak with the owner. And I told him, listen, if it didn't cost you a dime and we put and replaced your public telephone, it was New England Telephone, where we were, with ours, we'll give you 5 times more than what they're paying you. I don't even know what revenue you have. Would you be open to taking a look at that? Absolutely. I said, okay, so all we need is the last 3 months of your statements on your coin revenue. So we come in, we're going to do a profit analysis to make sure that it makes sense financially. Sure. I said, this is duck soup. Within 90 days, I had 200 payphone sites and paid for my first house with coins. That was thrilling until we sold it. Why did we sell it? Well, a lot of people are holding it in their hands right now. That's why. And it sold. Whew. But then I was faced with myself again. I had to face the fears that I had been avoiding. But because I had experienced a level of success, and it lasted for a little while, lasted almost a whole year, I was ready. This time I just talked to anybody. Hey, you making all the money you want? No. Would you like to? No. Keep it in mind. If you know somebody who's, and next, and just move on and talk to the next person. And the next person, I didn't have the internet. But when the internet was born in 1989, I thought, wow, the internet, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Kevin Sousa. His continuing mission is to help people, because helping people is how you succeed. And if that means having to get on the phone when I can use the internet to automate it all, I'm going to do it. I'm going to supplement my marketing with a telephone call. I didn't know any internet businesses. I was just new at it, and so was the rest of the world. There weren't any online companies showing you how to earn income online. It was all new back then. But in 2005, when I signed up to that business, 3 years later, after I wrapped my TV plug around the TV and put it in the basement, put a flower pot on the TV stand, I came home from work exhausted. I couldn't use, I'm tired anymore. What do? Just sit here and just look around and eat my dinner? No, I got online and I figured out how to talk to people in chat rooms, Yahoo Chat. I made a Yahoo Chat group, invited chatters, hey, come take a look at a way to make some money. And they all came in the room and would copy, paste, the whole presentation. Those of you that want to know more, let's talk privately. My private messages blew up. In 3 years, I was able to retire at age 49 for the rest of my life in 2008. 1 week later, she joined after I retired. And not too much longer after that, I found this guy. There's a reason I followed Mike Hobbs. He's a nice guy. There was no support system in place on the internet yet where you could have people, how much longer do I have? 5 minutes? Okay, thanks. Give me a breakdown, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. There was nobody making money online this way, the way we do, or the way other network marketing companies. The company that I was with, I was sad because they did not allow online marketing. So I got 28 years with this company. They're not allowing it? What do I do? How do I find a support system? So I was, quote unquote, homeless from 1989 until the company that closed that we were all involved with in the past. Everybody knows the story. I felt like I belonged somewhere. It was the first company I earned six figures with online, but then they started HBA. And I'm home. Found a home. It is nice and comfortable to be with people who care about others. This man right here, Paul Hutchings, he's an amazing leader. I had a problem, I had a challenge. This was only about a few weeks ago. And he stepped in and with his loving heart helped me and the other person solve that challenge and nipped it in the bud because of his outstanding leadership. And boy, I'll always be grateful for that. Always be grateful for that. So I'm going to end it here. Just want to say, I got 3 minutes? Okay, well, I'm going to end it here. When I told her to put her heart into it, and then I heard him say that, and him say that, I knew I was home, And it's nice to be back home. Nice to be with a group of people that's growing like crazy. Look at this. I would have been to the January one, but I had open heart surgery. It replaced 2 valves. None of my vessels were blocked at all because I'm not a smoker, but 2 valves calcified. They said it's not your fault, it's not anything you did, not anything you ate, not your habits, nothing. It just happened. Lovely, fix it. So they did. They fixed it. Of that, I'm grateful. Grateful for a lot of things. So thank you for having us here. Thank you for allowing us to speak and sharing. And thank you for everybody's contribution to this event.
And once again, what is the most profitable business to start from home? Check out my link in the description. You'll be glad you did. Make it a wonderful day.